Hello, and welcome to Marathon Swim Stories, where we explore the human side of the superhuman feats of endurance swimmers and those who support them. I'm marathon swimmer and coach, Shannon Keegan. Today I recorded the first ever in-person edition of Marathon Swim Stories with Jeff Rake. I'm so grateful that Jeff reached out to me prior to my trip to San Diego to swim around Coronado Island. As it goes with people in the marathon swimming community, Jeff welcomed me with open arms, even though we'd never met in person. He invited me for a warm-up swim in La Jolla Cove with him and openly shared his experience from swimming around Coronado in September last year. Then invited me to the quaint cottage where he was staying to record his story. Trying to be mindful of social distancing and recommendations to stay outside, I insisted that we record on his patio, which also felt like the perfect backdrop for an in-person interview. Periodically, you'll hear the San Diego seagulls. I hope that you can imagine the breeze coming off the ocean and that the background noise doesn't take away from Jeff's story. Enjoy.
All right. It says we're now streaming live on Facebook. This is a special edition of Marathon Swim Stories, the first ever live edition. Yes.
But not too much glare.
I don't think so. I'm here today with Jeff Rake, who we just met this morning at La Jolla Cove and did a little swim for me. He did a bigger swim. I was late to our swim date, but I'm very excited to hear your story. Can you tell us what's your story, Jeff?
Yeah, it's great to meet you finally too. Swimmers form such a bond. It seems like even over a distance, it's that commonality. But yeah, no, my story. Lifelong swimmer, certainly. Pretty. Was never anything great. I always considered myself kind of top of the mediocrity. In high school, played water polo some too. Went here to UC San Diego, and actually started college with a full cast on my leg. So couldn't play polo. Started swimming, but the coach was kind of discouraging. Said, yeah, you've gotten out of shape in the 6 months that you've spent in the cast. So, well, there's a beach across the street. He said I could be on the team and just work out with him. I thought, I'm going surfing. So I really didn't start swimming again. My fifth year, I actually got really into triathlons.
Oh, yeah.
And I started swimming with Sicky, who's still a legendary masters coach here. I did some of my best swimming at that point in time. Moved back up to Ventura County for almost 2 years, which is home, and then moved to Chicago.
Back to your triathlon real quick. What was your longest triathlon distance?
A half Ironman. Okay. Yeah, I did a half Ironman.
The swim usually first out of the water or early on?
I felt especially well equipped for the swim because the elite swimmers were either burned out or didn't bother with triathlons. Right. So despite the fact of being top of mediocrity, I was now actually right. For an age group at a decent level. And then and I actually really got into cycling. My older brothers were into cycling. Got me into cycling, and so I'd hold my own on the bike, and I was always a terrible runner, and so that's why I never got really competitive, in terms of placing or anything. I just was not a runner, and I didn't really, I guess I tried kind of, but I put in 3 times the training in swimming than I did in running, which should have been flipped. But anyway, I actually got into bike racing when I was in Chicago instead of triathlon.
Oh, yeah.
And then fast forward probably a decade, my oldest brother was 17 years my senior. Both my brothers, 14 and 17 years my senior, were competitive swimmers growing up. I think I kind of wanted to, I don't remember like idolizing, I need to be like them. Right. But I just, I think I kind of understood that they were swimmers and kind of did want to follow in that path. And but they had always, I would go in and out of fitness, in and out, like extremes. I'd be fat and out of shape, and they were always, at 17 and 14 years older, fit. And I was like, oh my gosh, what a shameful piece of young I am. And then I get back into shape. But anyway, in 2001, my oldest brother invited me to go with him to do the St. Croix Coral Reef Swim, which is 5 miler. And so we did that, and that was great.
What was your training like for that? Were you coming out of a down point?
Yeah, I was coming probably.
Were you swimming kind of masters in and out, or like?
Yeah, I was kind of self-coached masters. I was living in Maplewood, New Jersey, commuting into Manhattan, and so I started swimming again and trying to, have some sort of a program. And I was probably doing 15,000 yards a week, swimming 4 times a week, 4,000-yard workouts, something like that. And my brother had actually recognized, I think it was Alice Costic's. He had some kind of a training program for, 5 miler, where he said, work your way up to 4,000 yards. I'm like, yeah, okay, well, I can do 4,000 yards. But, do a 4,000 on a Saturday, and then next Saturday, try another 4,000. See if you can beat your time, and then up that to 5, 5, 6, 6, and 8. So up to 8,000 yards. So did that, and notably my oldest brother, who I did it with, he says, well, I think I can do 220, something like that. And I think I can do 2 hours. And I got out in 2:11 thinking that was hard. And that old man, he's going to be another half hour. That old man came out of the water 2 places and 5 minutes behind me.
Oh, wow. Handicap for age, he smoked me. I think open water swimming, I think the brackets are different.
Yeah. So we did that again in 2003, and I'd always had kind of a little, inkling, like, I'd like to see if I could go longer. I wonder if I could do, 6 miles, 10K. And over the period of, at least the next decade plus, really started in probably with the financial crisis of 08, 09, I had switched careers and gotten into this commission-based career. And I already had the propensity for, to enjoy myself a little too much. I was, typical kind of frat boy kind of, personality probably. And when I got in this commission-only gig, and then, everything crashed, I really spiraled in terms of alcohol consumption, probably for the better part of a decade, and in the process of that, I, maybe as a byproduct, I don't know, I had moderate asthma, but I developed sarcoidosis, which is an inflammatory condition in the lungs. So I went on the prednisone. I was on prednisone for 2 years, and then methotrexate for another 2 years. And during that probably latter time, I was making serious efforts to get sober. And finally, after a binge, went into a 24-day treatment program and came out, and I'd already kind of managed to get myself, lose some weight, kind of get in shape. And I finally, it's like something clicked where I realized, oh my gosh, here I was on blood pressure medication and Prilosec for reflux and antidepressants, and thinking that, athletically and professionally and in many ways, life is kind of, this, I don't have much more to aspire to. And there was something that flipped there coming out of treatment where I like, oh my gosh, I still have so much time to accomplish so much.
What it was that helped you?
Yeah, well, that's sobriety,
Right,
and the first thing I thought, because I had lost, a decent amount of weight, I thought, I want to learn how to rock climb. I always wanted to learn how to rock climb, and now I'm at a weight where I can do that. And within the period of about 24 hours, I thought, I want to swim. I'd been swimming, for fitness and things like that, but I thought, I'm going to swim something kind of like an English Channel. I was like, no, English Channel cold, and everybody does that. Well, what's something a little bit shorter, a little bit warmer? And I thought Cook Strait. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to swim the Cook Strait. And I remember hearing somebody at my Y, the Upper Mainline Y, where I visit, talking about swimming the Cook Strait. And I looked somebody up and said, who was that? Oh, that's Anthony McCarley. They were able to provide me with contact. I called Anthony, and he had lunch with me. And he gave me some training tip. He didn't give me too much. Like, how much do you do every week? Well, I'm not going to tell you how much to do every week. Everybody's kind of on their own. But I will say, I'll do one workout at 10,000 yards every week. And so I said, okay, I'll do one workout at 10,000 yards every week, which I started doing. And So it's funny, I think in 2000 and whatever it was, 2019, let's say, I did my birthday swim, 53 times 100. And that was, big event. I was like, okay, I can do 53 by 100. Well, on my 54th birthday, I did 54 by 200. And it was just another Tuesday because I had gotten up to the point where I'm doing 10,000 yards every week and I'm swimming 30,000 yards a week, blah, blah, blah. But definitely, crossed that threshold where I was swim a lot more. And, recognized, gosh, I've already got a lifelong base to build on. And that's kind of part of what motivated me. I have this lifelong base to build on. And now, oh my gosh, it's been a year already. You set that goal for this, this distance swimming. You think, oh gosh, it's going to take me 3 years. And I never would have done that had I not thought, well, I'm already, kind of a year into that process.
Yeah.
And then just getting, the logistics set, trying to book a boat, trying to do stuff. It takes another year. I wanted to do Catalina last year, not knowing if I was ready or not. But then they said, Catalina's canceled for the year. So, Dan put out there, hey, well, we can do around Coronado, which is 12. I thought, well, that's a good interim, intermediate. That's kind of, 12 miles. It's not offshore. That's, but still qualifies as a pretty significant accomplishment.
Yeah.
So I decided I would do that. And so, kind of not knowing if I was prepared or not, I did that. And,
what was your training like for that? So how long ahead did you decide to do it?
I don't know. I think I probably decided 3 or 4 months. Okay, I'm going to do Coronado.
Right.
And
did you ramp up your training or anything?
Yeah, definitely a little bit. I had been the year prior. I had swam that 7.5 miler in Quebec, Traversée du Lac Tremblant.
Oh, cool.
And so okay, and I can do 7.5. I've done 5. Now I can do 7.5. Okay, can I do this 12? That's still another 4.5 miles.
Right.
Still. So did that, had a good finish, and kind of thought, okay, I'm qualified, so to speak, to do this. I, kind of understood what it took. Although that 7.5 miles, I was, it was a race, and I was kind of at my finish. I was definitely pushing, and thought, oh, could I really do 12? And for the 12, obviously ocean, slightly cooler temps. Around Coronado, you get to the end of the jetty, which is really long.
Yeah.
And I thought, when I make it to the end of that jetty, I'll know that I've done it. And so for me, for Coronado, I felt great. I cramped. It's typical with me. My calves cramped like after about an hour, but this is also typical once I get past that cramping. I'm good.
That's a good thing to know.
Had my pickle juice, rubbed it out. So anyway, Dan had me push a little bit to the end of the jetty. So, give a little push here because you're drifting a little bit. And so then when I made it to the end of the jetty, I felt like, okay, I've done it. I'm good. And there's like another 3 or 4 miles. I think a solid 3 miles.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, we're going to go in now. They're like a significant amount, but I kind of cruised, but who cares about the time? But it was just that, okay, can you do this? And I remember thinking, why am I doing this? And then, 2 seconds later, thinking, this is the best. This is so great.
Yeah.
And so I didn't push myself at the end. And sometimes I wish, oh gosh, I think I had more in me. I think, I could have improved my time. And then I thought, I learned so much. Who cares?
Right.
So, but anyway, it's great. And that was, for me, I thought, a huge accomplishment. But for about a week afterwards, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah. If I could count the number of times I finished a swim, being like, I'm never doing this again. It actually takes me like an hour. I'm like, well, what else could I do?
Yeah. But I thought, within a week, I'm going to do Catalina. And I had to convince myself, and I kept fit. I probably 15,000 yard a week regimen through the end of the year. And then the first of the year, it's like, okay, this is it. This is the year. I'm going to do Catalina. So I started ramping it up. 25K a week, 30K a week, 35K a week. So, I know it's not all about the distance, but to me, I got to convince myself.
Some people need it for the I think there's a time and a place for it, and everybody's different, and
Yeah.
you need to get the confidence.
Yeah.
And if it helps to put the distance in to get the confidence, then that's what you need.
Exactly. You know, yeah. I want to be able to say, okay, the endurance and the physical fitness is secondary now. I've got that. And I don't have to worry about that. Can I last? Can I do it?
Right.
There's so many other aspects that you recognize even when I'm out today for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, it's extremely cold. It's 55 degrees today. I'm out there 45 minutes, and I was out there for a little bit longer than I was yesterday, but I was by myself, and I'm thinking, okay, it's only 55. I should probably turn around now, you know. And then I turn around, I come, and I'm freezing. I'm dealing with an after drop, but then I see there are other people out going 4 miles where I went, you know, not even 2.
There are a lot of people have wetsuits on too. Are you talking about?
Well,
yeah. Do you feel cold when you're out there, or is it only after you finish that you get the
on and off? You know,
okay.
sometimes I felt, you know, obviously upon entering, but no, most, you know, pretty much you get used to it, and I felt pretty good. Coming back, I thought, okay, I think I feel cold. So I think, you know, that was a phase where I could probably could have gotten over it. I don't know. We'll see as I get longer and longer.
Right. Yeah.
And we'll also see if I want to consider these channels, you know, these 62 and 63 degree water swims, but this is a good indicator, getting into the 55 degree water and seeing how long it can last. You know, whether or not I want to consider that and saying, okay, well, I lasted for an hour and 55, 63, I should do it. Anyway.
Yeah. Do you still cook straight on your horizon?
I'd like to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that warmer?
Well, 63-ish.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Not
I think
really.
it averages a degree or two warmer than the English Channel.
Okay. So in a couple of years with global warming, it'll be.
Yeah, the guy gave me a slot, and then he says, pay your deposit. And I asked him a few more questions. And then obviously they shut down.
Oh, yeah.
And he knew they had been shut down when I was asked to pay my deposit. And he never got back to me on the questions. And I, you know, I want to wait to see how this pandemic pans out before so 2023 is probably the earliest if you know, he happens to keep that slot for me, early 2023. But we'll see. See how Catalina goes.
Yeah, and that's September this year?
Correct. Yes.
What's your training plan look like?
Well, this is part of it. You know, 6 days here in San Diego, you know, acclimating to cooler waters, because I just want to make sure, even though it should be plenty warm, I just wanted to make sure that I'm used to, you know, a little bit of cool water. But you know, back on the East Coast, it won't get up to 55 for another few weeks, a month. But kind of like I did last year, you know, I'll do a lot of pool swimming during the week, try to get open water on weekends. I've got Anthony who said, do your 1K a week, maybe get up to 10Ks a week. I've got Dan who told me, you know, the periodization of having rest week, and then followed by speed week, build week, bulk week. So I've kind of been following that. And so in each of those, you know, so the speed week, and then 4 weeks later when I'm doing speed week again, I'm going, you know, that week I'm going additional yardage. So I'm building on that previous month. So each month, you know, gets bigger, more and more. So, you know, whereas I did 100,000 in January, 99,000 meters in January, and did 110 in February, and you know, I was at 70 as of I think last week in March. The yardage won't be there this week. It's, you know, it's the cooler water and shorter distances, but you know, getting up to 40, maybe 45. I've talked to one guy who said, you know, I think I was overtraining at 45,000 a week. Yeah. You know, so you know, I've got a job and everything too.
Right.
You can only go so much. So,
yeah.
You know, 35.
Do you have any other milestone swims or anything planned for this summer?
Not planned.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to do Anacapa to Oxnard at some point. But shorter, I know, and cool, but that's part of, you know, why I'm doing this, because I have that in the back of my mind. But you know, also you got to pay for all these swims.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I'm raising money for some causes, and
tell us about the causes.
Well, you know, because since I gained so much out of recovery, you know, kind of as I guess a way of giving back, and you know, as a way of demonstrating what's possible. Even though not everybody who gets sober is going to go out and swim in English Channel, but I kind of wanted to reflect that, well, you can. I mean, anything maybe you recognize something that you've always had an ambition to do, and you recognize that you're actually kind of qualified to do that, and that goal is attainable. Whereas before it was unattainable. Recognize your goal, recognize if it's attainable, and go for it. And that's really kind of the message. And I raised some money for the Heron Project, which is a fundraising project started by Chris Heron, who was an NBA, a UNLV and NBA basketball player who went through a very serious downward spiral and then recovered, and has set up this foundation to provide funds for scholarships for treatment. And I remember when I went into treatment, part of the reason I didn't go for a long time was like, it's going to cost so much money, I really should do that, but it's going to cost. But they provide scholarships for treatment. They provide educational programming for prevention for youth in schools, and they provide counseling services for families affected by for example, people who've lost loved ones to overdoses and things like that.
Right.
So I think it's a really worthwhile foundation, and so I've raised money for that. I'm trying to I've had my own Swim Straight program, which I'm trying to get recovery houses, so people in early sobriety to come swim.
That's great.
And provide them access, whether if they're not around me, locate what's the program they can get into, and hopefully some of the funds that I raise can help provide like little scholarships for someone to give them access to some of these facilities. So that's
right.
I'm working on that. So that's kind of a separate thing, which goes along kind of half and half, helping to maybe fund my swim so I can continue to send this message, and then
right.
half to the Swim Straight. But then the actual swims, I start the GoFundMe page for the Heron Project again.
Yeah.
So something that's really important. And then doing Catalina Channel solo in 2021, and hopefully in 2022, I've actually already got the team. We're going to do a Catalina relay with folks in recovery, all consisting primarily of folks in recovery, but not all necessarily.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's great.
Yeah. So you still have that trepidation every time you get in cold water. Oh, can I really do this?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So how do you feel like any of your experiences, like in going through recovery, like contribute to yourself when you're like getting ready for a swim, or like getting in the swim, like basically like the mental preparation piece? Yeah. Is there, you know what I'm saying? Like, is there anything from?
Well, there are a lot of parallels. I mean, getting into a swim. I mean, I said this is a New Zealand, a Punamu. This is a New Zealand greenstone, kiwi greenstone. Also Punamu, and I thought I had it before, and I thought I'm gonna start wearing that because it's to remind me of this goal I have to swim the Cook Strait. And one of the things I said to myself was, I cannot try to attain that goal without balancing the rest of my life. I'm not gonna neglect my family, neglect my professional life. So I'm always trying to say, okay, are you balancing your life? Are you working just as hard at goals you've set professionally or with your family or with your spiritual aspects of your life as you are with your swimming? So I try to achieve that. The answer is no, because swimming has still been kind of it's a big part. But there's all sorts of different things, parallel, like the kayaker. I recognize the kayaker, like you're out in the middle of the ocean. I mean, you would flip out, anybody out in the middle of the ocean, even, just 2 miles offshore there in Coronado, without anybody next to you, you'd flip out and, can I do this? Am I going to be okay? And just having somebody right there point you in the right direction and say, do you need anything? There's such a reassurance in that, I've always, made that a parallel to, who's your kayaker in life? We all need somebody to rely on as a mentor, kind of guide us, to help us. So, who has what you want, and follow that person, And that's certainly a parallel in sobriety. In the 12-step program I am, you have somebody that, mentors you.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I've always, tried to adapt that and pick out people and professionals, aspects of my life that, who do I want to be more like? And that person mentor me, just recognizing that, there's help. You don't have to do things on your own. Even if you have a personal goal, this is a solo swim, you don't do it on your own.
Right.
A lot of help is necessary ultimately. So that's definitely one parallel. The other, is there's also, the one day at a time stuff. It's how you approach swimming. I would have never, from day one, if I set that goal of I'm going to swim the Cook Strait, I would have been about a week before I realized I'm never going to get there.
Yeah.
And it's like after you spend that, okay, well, I'm that much closer. I was able to recognize somehow, okay, I'm that much closer. And I've already got this big foundation to build on. And I don't have to worry about swimming the Cook Strait tomorrow.
Right.
Tomorrow I just have to worry about swimming my, it's Thursday, I'm swimming 10,000 yards, 10,000 meters or whatever. That's what I have to worry about tomorrow. So I have my little training aspect, which I love, actually. My little mottos, which is 10K by Tuesday. And so if I get to 10K by Tuesday, it's kind of like attacking, anything like in work, you got to do all the hard work up front. If you did 10K by Tuesday, and then you also know that you're going to get in a 10K swim on Thursday, it's 20K for your week. All you have to do is fill it in with, a few little 3,000, 4,000 yard swims the rest of the week, and
I love it.
You got it, So I have thirsty Thursdays because the lifeguards see me. I'm carrying like 2 bottles. I've got my bottle of feed and my bottle of noon water. And, it's thirsty Thursday, and it's going to be here for 3 hours. So those are my 2 little 10K by Tuesday and thirsty Thursday.
I love it. Whatever it takes, right? That's giving yourself those little things.
Yeah. That's kind of a big part of my training program. It's easy, it's kind of these little goals to visualize on a weekly basis. And all you have to do is meet those goals on a weekly basis, and then you realize, oh shoot, I'm there. If I keep on doing, because Catalina now physically, as long as I continue to do what I'm doing, I'm there physically for the physical aspect of the training.
Yeah.
The mental aspect, even though this is cold today and colder than I'll need for Catalina, that it gives me that, kind of that mental aspect, because how long you can last in 55-degree water, that's 2 hours. I think it gives you the confidence of, okay, if I can do this for 2 hours, I think I can do that for 10 hours,
Right.
Because those are the kind of, even in 45 minutes, those are the kind of doubts that start creeping in your mind psychologically. Is, can I finish this? Am I going to be okay? Do I want to do this anymore? Am I stupid or am I crazy?
Yeah.
And that 55-degree water offers you that opportunity to kind of cram it into a short period of time.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have to go for 10 hours to get those doubts.
Right. Yeah.
Playing in my mind.
Right. Yeah. I guess to me too, with acclimatization, whenever I'm recommending it to people and clients or whatever, I think part of it, even if it's extreme, is it's getting comfortable being uncomfortable, and because you will become uncomfortable over your 10, 12, 14 hours or whatever with Catalina. So
exactly.
Figuring out ways to prepare for that.
Yeah.
I like just what you were saying too about like balancing, just the finding, I think there's a lot of kind of people in marathon swimming like that. It can be just, we're all driven, people are driven to go out and swim. For me, I guess I've always, my balance needs to be more in the water because I lean heavy to like my family's needs. Obviously my kids are young and things like that. So. Yeah, but it's funny because the year that I decided to do In Search of Memory, I had been laid off from work. And so I felt like I had this newfound time. But I was home with a baby and a 2-year-old, so I didn't have newfound time. But anyway, that's a different story. Go back to mental preparation stuff. So you're talking a little bit about, like the time you're spending in the water here, 50-degree water, how that's kind of getting you ready. Are there other kind of mental preparation things that you're doing?
it's and again that there's that another parallel. This treatment facility I went to dealt a lot with mindfulness, and I had been kind of introduced certainly to the principles of yoga, but that kind of introduced me even more. And I do try to, anytime you do a yoga class, which I do less and less now, but I do some meditation related with my sobriety practices every week, and I do find that helpful. Adapt that, and just focus on your breath. That's what I did when I first got underwater. They focus on your breath, and that's I did when I got to the halfway part. Focus on your breath, and that takes away, that distracts you, but it also improves your performance. So if you can just focus on your breath, and that's a total yoga principle. And when you're not in the water, actually focusing, there's all sorts of, whether it's sobriety related, whether it's motivational related, all those stupid little slogans that you say there's whether, like I said, sobriety, motivational, whatever. A lot of them are actually true. Focus on what's possible rather than on what's missing. That's not going to help me turn over faster in the water, but just things about, you can do this. You've done so much. Like today in the water, sometimes when you start going, oh gosh, am I getting tired? I'm thinking, dude, you swim 35,000 yards a week.
Right.
You can, physically, you're going to be fine.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of, I could go back and say, well, I'm doing it for all these people that I'm raising money for. And I don't think I've done much of that when I'm actually in the water.
Okay.
I was on a Zoom meeting with, for a recovery-based 12-step program, and there was somebody who said, I just got out of treatment, and it was granted to me based on a scholarship I got from the Aaron Foundation or the Aaron Project. But I helped that guy.
Yeah. You should write that down. I mean, people, I guess I've heard of several different people I've talked to have talked about, either mantras or thinking of people that they've helped as just, as a way of just keeping you going.
Yeah.
I heard of a swim. Someday I wanted to do one where I live. We have just a huge lack of pools. So like raising money to help construct a pool. But I heard about somebody doing a fundraiser, and they would have people who donated would buy a mile, and so and the kayaker would tell them that person's mile, like on a feed, and I thought that was just the neatest thing, because then they could think about that person like until the next feed, how they knew them and whatever, all these aspects of them, and I thought that was really cool. Whatever it takes to keep going.
And I do. I want to, because I really struggle a lot with being, I don't know, self-aggrandizing, which is proud or boastful, because I post my stuff up there. Look, it's like, look at me, look what I did. Aren't I cool? Aren't I awesome?
Right.
Because people do, you're so awesome. You're great. This is so great. And it's like, what I really want to do, the reason I'm posting this is like, dude, my life was over.
Yeah.
I was 50 years old and my life was done. And all of a sudden I'm 55 and my life is so full people and so full of more goals.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't have to be, in sobriety, whatever. You don't need to be pre-recovered, whatever, in the throes of some kind of addiction. But there are a lot of people who are depressed or anxious or who have different phobias or whatever, that think, I'm never going to be able to achieve anything. I'm never going to, reach my ambitions. And what I'm trying to, I guess the backstory is necessary to say, look how far down I was.
Yeah.
To say, and look what you can still do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the part I'm like, look, God, I am kind of like, look at me, look at, but it's like, look at what's possible. Isn't this cool that you can do this?
Yeah.
Because I've got terrible feet. When if I walk around the block a couple of times, my feet will be done for the rest of the day because I've got all this stuff going on. And I have this lung issue, which fortunately abated. I still got a little bit of a, asthma condition, but that doesn't. So that's really the, when I post stuff or sound boastful, I've gotten into the swim community more than ever now. I'm coaching for primarily triathletes, adult swimmers, etc. We do have a fitness and recovery program that I coach swimming for. They have all sorts of different. I kept on bugging the guy. We need to do swimming for this,
Yeah.
They have yoga, they have strength training and CrossFit. We do swimming. Now we're doing it. And there are only a few people doing it, but they're totally jazzed by it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And then my little Swim Straight program, hopefully we'll get that rolling more. And I coach people and coach adults, and I love helping them make through those little breakthroughs. But just in the last year, since I've been coaching and swimming with the people I coach as well, because I'm kind of a fill-in sub-coach or whatever. It's so much fun, and it's so inclusive. We've got a 70-year-old, actually two 70-year-olds, one that's swam, quite, some decent distances, but is still very slow, and another one that's just learning to swim.
Yeah.
And then everybody in between,
Yep.
That are, whether they're coming back, whether they're triathletes, and everybody's just feels connected to one another, and it's so much fun. I'm having so much fun with it now.
Yeah.
I've met other people who are actually in recovery just by coincidence, who happen to be, swimming with me.
Right.
And that's kind of fun too, because you get the wink,
Yeah.
Yeah, we know what's going on, and actually, a lot of people have come to know, and that's actually, it reflects well on us, because people say, oh, look what these people in recovery are doing. That's kind of cool, So anyway, I don't know.
It's amazing just as a coach, like helping people fulfill their goals. Like I just, even helping people just find a goal, like you're saying, you people need to know your story in order for them to realize that they should have a goal. Because if they think they're on all these medications for blood pressure, whatever, all this stuff, and they think, oh, well, I guess I'm just going to tick down the moments until I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's teacher helping.
Yeah.
Let's see. How about the pandemic? How's the pandemic been for you?
Challenging, and I've used that to, at some points to reflect back on look what you can do. My wife worked for her assistant brother-in-law for 30 years in the travel business, primarily the travel business that was related to primarily designing custom itineraries to Australia and New Zealand. Well, that shut down.
Yeah, right.
Wow. She's like number 3 in the company or whatever. She's laid off, and then let go. And we actually moved in with my mother-in-law, 88 years old, has this big old house that she really doesn't want to move out of. And it was just a good, that actually ended up being a good situation.
Mm-hmm.
She's also got a swimming pool.
Oh.
So when the pools were shut down, we moved in last May. So let's open the pool early this year. I mean, it's a residential swimming pool, but what I did is I got a swim tether. Initially, I think the swim tethers were on back order.
I've heard about it. Yeah.
I had one of those resistance bands and a nylon belt, and I hooked the resistance band up to a nylon belt and got in the water. A week later, I got my official swim tether.
Yeah.
It wasn't a whole lot of difference. I was doing something right.
Right.
I would get in there for 45 minutes, an hour sometimes, and at a different kind of resistance. It's actually something you have to be careful about because it'll mess you up. And then, the Y started opening, but it was a 45-minute session. And once the water got warm enough, I went down, got into the Chesapeake because that got warmer a little bit earlier. The Ocean City Swim Club opened up, and I got in there. I'd drive down to Ocean City, which was an hour plus. Every Sunday, I'd get up early on Sunday mornings, and I'd be back sometimes before 11 or before 10. People were just still getting up. And I'm like, yep, I'm back. I didn't spend the day at the beach. I'm back. What do I need to do? Trying not to take away from, family time or whatever. Right. It's just funny because I was on my way back once, and my wife says, hey, where are you? I want to go to the beach today. I'm like, I'm already there, kind of on my way back. And she was so mad. She didn't know I was down there. And it's not like I was sneaking down. I was trying to get it in and see, it's not a problem. I can do my thing, reach my head, and still mow the lawn, whatever.
Right.
So, anyway.
So you adapted, you kept swimming through the pandemic.
Kept swimming. Yeah. So, swim tethers, 45-minute session. For my Thirsty Thursdays, we were initially right before, around Coronado, we were on 45-minute sessions. We had to vacate the pool. Get out of the pool for 15 minutes, keep stretched, hydrate a little bit, and the next session would open up, and I wasn't registered for it, and I'd have to make sure nobody else is coming. okay, I've got, I'm going to get my lane until they kick me out. I spilled coffee on myself. And so, so that was one way which you had to adapt.
Yeah.
So you can't say, well, it's not like just like got to set that goal. You know, I can't do it. I was like, no, I'm swimming. It's booked. I got to find a way to get it done. And maybe I won't get it done as fast as I would have if I was in, perfect shape because I had unlimited access to pools or whatever. But yeah, I guess it's a good lesson in resourcefulness.
Yeah.
So. So that's definitely a pandemic related thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get that swim tether out.
Well, yeah.
Swimming pool.
Yeah, I definitely was one of those people that was like, well, threw all my goals away and because it was just too hard. All of a sudden I had 2 kids at home. Whatever.
Yeah, you got 2 kids.
But,
it's a pretty good excuse. I got 3, but the youngest is 17. She's self-sufficient.
Yeah. Yeah. If they could make their own dinner, working on it.
Yeah. At 4.
Yeah.
Make your own
recovery clubs. But I was thinking about, was there any, I guess part of why I kind of started Marathon Swim Stories is I was thinking that like everybody could learn something from marathon swimmers because we've all, like in the situation of being in a marathon swim, you kind of like have to adapt. And I'm wondering if maybe for you in recovery, like kind of learning how to accept new situations or I don't know, did any of that kind of come to play in the pandemic where you kind of to roll with the punches with your wife getting laid off?
Yeah. I mean, if you practice a program, you learn some important things. This is my daughter. Can we incorporate her a little bit into it? You can come on up. Yeah, that's fine. But the most important aspect of that is that whole one day at a time thing. One day at a time, 1 minute at a time. Just do what you're supposed to do today. And so that's.
Say hi to the camera.
You say hi to the camera.
Sorry, that's okay.
That's okay. But that's a very important thing. I would say for everybody. If you set a goal, you don't have to achieve that tomorrow. That's the biggest thing. It's Cook Strait, Catalina Channel, 12 miles, 5 miles, 1 mile, whatever it is. If you set that goal, hopefully you don't set it for tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to go swim a mile, but I've never learned to swim. So don't worry about if that goal's a year off. Just focus on what you should do today to reach that goal. Because you do that is a tendency many people have.
Yeah.
Did I answer that question?
I think so. Yeah. I wanted to come back to when you were talking about some of the adults and people that you're coaching. How do you encourage them to set a goal kind of gently? Like how do you work with people?
Well, I ask them what they would like to do.
Yeah.
I
guess that they come to you because they have a goal, or you ever?
Well, it's funny because there's two kind of sets, and I'm not a seasoned coach, so people that are doing serious swimming, they've got their goals, they know how to train, they know what they should be doing, and I'm providing the workout. I'm writing the workout, going, okay, this is what you're doing today. And then there's this, lanes 5 and 6, who I'm saying, okay, you know what, get that elbow up and reach, and don't cross in front of yourself, or whatever it is, get your hips up and kick, and my funny thing is I'm really loud, and I might be, but at the pool when I'm giving lessons, I'll say, yes, that's what I was talking about. That's what I was wanting you to do. You did it. You just listened to me. Oh my gosh, is that a first? Things like that. And it's funny, these adults, probably even accomplished adults, they get this like little kid giddiness. It's like, oh, I'm right, And that's it's just encouraging. So you're finding ways, even though, because swimming is you're always going to be able to pick people apart and find something wrong.
That's true.
So that's my way of encouraging them. It's like, there's 10 other things that you still need to work on.
Right. Probably need to
but
set
you
your
just,
coffee down. You just keep spilling
it. Oh, God. You do, yeah. Talking with my hands. My wife would be proud. She's like,
I do that too.
But so just little things to encourage them on, little step-by-step things. I don't think anybody's necessarily articulated a specific goal yet that I'm helping them work towards. And I would love to do that, like, getting kind of take that back. There's a few people that have started back that are very wary about open water. And last year, this group that I coached, I got my coaching certification, and then there was this one gal who's a triathlete got me on the list, on the email list for this group, primarily of triathletes, and said, "Oh, you should join them, and I'll get you on the email list." And then my why kind of came back, and I thought, I'm not going to drive 20 minutes away. The guy sent out an email and said, I could use some coaching help. I said, "Oh, I want to, hone my coaching skills. I will come out." And that's how I got into that group. It's been so great. He's very kind of dry, not a super warm, bubbly person, but he's helped me so much. It's incredible. And that group, that's
John
group.
Kenny?
Yeah, that's John Kenny.
Yeah, I got his.
Oh, do you know?
I interviewed him, but I kind of get what you're saying about the network. But he's,
but it's if you get him, then he's a really good guy.
Yeah.
If you didn't get him, he might come off
the wrong way. Right?
The wrong way. But no, I think he's a really good guy. But so I went out there anyway. But they also, I think, 3 times a week will swim in the Schuylkill in the river. Like, yeah, well, I'm not doing that. Schuylkill. I mean, because it's got this reputation as being really, and it's obviously it's cleaned up, but especially in Philly, you don't want to. But outside of Philadelphia, it's actually okay. But last summer, I missed out on the entire swim. Almost. They're all swimming in the Schuylkill on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays. I'm like, yeah, have fun with that. I got my rivers and my oceans. I'm not going to. And then I did it once, and it was fine. Yeah, I could do that again. And then they had a 5K kind of toward the end of the year, and I did the 5K. It's like, oh my gosh, that was so much fun. Why haven't I not been doing this all summer? Right. And so I've told a bunch of the people that who are have their trepidations about swimming in the Schuylkill or swimming in open water in general. But yeah, I totally missed out last summer, and I had so much fun. You're going to have fun. Just trust me. Go get in there. Just go get in there. And actually, it was funny the other day when I was coaching. I had a moment where I said, "Okay, we had a little break. We were doing the after the warm up, the announcements, and I tried something different. I said, I'm going to give a little motivational, so just do it. I mean, how do you get through? Because there's a lot of mental aspects to swimming. And I don't know if I've got the answers to all of the questions, but I will tell you." If you're trepidatious about something, do it. Go in. I mean, you're already swimming. I mean, some of those folks over in the slower, you're learning to swim at, kind of an advanced age. You're already doing it. You're taking the first step. So if there's anything else that you're trepidatious about, just do it. Just take that first step. And so some of these folks I'm encouraging, like, comes from the Schuylkill. I want to kind of I'm taking Dan Simonelli's course in the kayak and swim escorting. Awesome. And so, because I want to kind of encourage other people and say, hey, I'll be your kayaker. When the water warms up in the Chesapeake here in a few weeks, I'm hoping that I get some of the, less experienced folks down to the Chesapeake so we can swim. Yeah. And, I can help them get comfortable in open water. Yeah. Because I just think that's, once they experience that, all the stories about, Kim Chambers and the other gal in Ireland who had experience. You get into that open water and you discover something new. Yeah. And I really, want to kind of introduce people. Not everybody.
But if you take 5 out and one of them gets it, mission accomplished. Yeah, and then the other 2 might think about it and they might come back. So I don't know. It's worth it.
Those are nuts. I'm not doing this. But anyway, like you say, it's worth it. Exactly.
Yeah. What advice would you give to an aspiring marathon swimmer?
Well, I guess from I think we had this discussion earlier today. From my point of view, don't compare yourself to other people, because there's always going to be people faster than you. And you're going to think, I am especially sensitive to this, those people are faster than me. They're the real marathon swimmers. I have no business being. Don't compare yourselves to those people. Everybody has got, this gal, Diane McManus, because she's on every forum. You've probably seen her.
Yeah, we did her story too. Yeah.
I coach her, and she's, she's one of those people. She's still probably sorry, Diane, but probably the slowest person in the pool. But that does not seem to prevent her from ever showing up.
Right.
And ever setting goals, because she wants to do a relay for the English Channel this year. Or this year, I think. And she did the Bender swim, which is an 8-mile swim in the Schuylkill. And, I don't know if she cares about how, I'm sure she'd like to improve, but she wants to improve on her time. Mm-hmm. She doesn't want to improve on my time. She just wants to be a better Diane. She doesn't, want to be Stephanie Saucy, right? Who's this incredible fast swimmer, that's what I would encourage people. Use it to be a better version of yourself. Don't worry about, well, I've already said it. I'm being redundant. But don't worry about looking at other people and say, I can't be as fast as him, so I don't belong. Just do it.
Right.
So
That's good advice.
yeah.
Who's inspired you?
Well, certainly, I mean, Anthony McCarley continues to inspire me. Dan Simonelli has, inspired me and just been a good leader. He's just shown me that, the guidance principles, and, he's been able to give me I guess those are more people that have kind of given me a little bit more confidence, or led me, trained me a little bit, or given me instruction. I mean, the inspiration over the years, I'll get choked up. My brothers, they, I don't think they realize how. Sorry.
Okay.
No, I don't think they realize how much they inspire me, because they've always been really steady. They didn't have the same issues I did with. They could have one little, beer or one sip of whiskey, and they didn't need more. And they've always been steady. I mean, here they were, 17. The one was 55 when I was early 30s, and he was like, but he was always kind of setting these goals and just always steady. My other brother was younger than him, not younger than me, certainly, has always been. He was into cycling for a long time. He was a great cyclist. And so, here I would, 14 years younger than me, he would kick my butt on the bike. And so it was like, gosh, these guys are so older. You can't show up to, when we reunite, we're all over the country,
Right.
And we get together once a year for a little family reunion in Hawaii. And I thought, I better get myself in the shape. I'm going to get smoked by these old guys,
That's good.
And, it used to be bike riding. We go on bike rides together or get together. Now it's always swimming.
Yeah.
Solo swimmers. My sister as well. She wasn't competitive, but she swims her laps every day. And so yeah, it's definitely, my brothers are just like, 60, built like me, and 70, 72 now, I think, still fit and steady. And it's just like, you've got the genes for it.
Yeah.
If you screw that up, it's on you. You're gonna, so yeah, they've been just by their example, I think, just been a huge influence on me. So
yeah.
Anyway,
it's wonderful. It's good. Well, it's kind of neat. It's in the family too that you're inspired by people.
Yeah. So
Cool.
So anyway, hopefully it doesn't go to their heads and see this.
We'll have it out for you the next time you get. That's all right. You're gonna swim cattle now, and they haven't done that, right?
That's right.
But we're not comparing ourselves to other
That's
people.
right.
You're gonna be the best version of Jeff.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you for sharing your story, Jeff.
Oh, absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks for doing
This is all experimental, the live version. I hope it worked.
Oh, cool.
I hope you enjoyed today's interview. Do you want to take Marathon Swim Stories with you? Subscribe on your favorite podcast provider. Want to connect with like-minded limit pushers? Join us for Marathon Swim Stories live on Tuesdays at 5:30 a.m. Pacific, 8:30 Eastern, 13:30 GMT. Thanks for watching.